Enteleki, Verse 1, Chapter 41, Returning to the Base Camp. So this whole world is like some kind of computer simulation. More like a game. The best goddamn game ever, Rex exclaimed as they flew through the sky heading home. So you really don't know anything else? Para asked Omega. Sorry, he replied with a shake of his head. I was created shortly before the world started breaking down and haven't been updated since. That sucked. If they could only get some answers straight from the gods themselves. They soon arrived at their temporary home, the base camp. Patera had expected everyone would be worried sick over them, considering the fact that they didn't inform anyone when leaving the place and had vanished for days. But there were just the usual sounds coming from below, the stomping of feet, occasional growls and so forth. The first person to notice them was Petera. She looked up in alarm and screeched, quickly followed by several others. A few seconds later, all 5 of their friends emerged to greet them and ask questions all at once. I'm fine, answered Echo with a smile. And you won't believe how well, Para added. What did you guys do? Tricera asked. In answer, Patera transformed her arm again to show off her blade. The others got similar reactions to the first time she showed it to them. It looks so cool, Rex muttered enviously, looking at Omega's gun arm. I'll have one too, eventually. This is awesome. Starts some settlement. I'm glad you're happy, little buddy. How about telling me what you've been doing? We found something out ourselves. But maybe we should talk inside? We still have quite the problem to solve. And boy, was she right. Inside, they told everything that happened during the previous day. So, what will happen if we don't do anything about it? Bronto asked, looking genuinely scared. Nothing good, Pyrrha said grimly. All the other creatures here are going to turn into those things and kill every living thing they come across until nothing remains. You can see why we needed help, can't you? Tricera pointed out. But how long does your friend say we have left? Bronto wanted to know. Maybe around a week? It depends mostly on how far away the other affected areas are located, Echo replied, uncertainly. Tuh. A week isn't much time. Everyone remained silent for a moment. As the smartest one in this bunch, it fell upon Para to take charge. First, let's try to think whether there's even anything we can actually do, Para began. Even if it doesn't sound possible currently, there might be ways to reverse this corruption or destroy its source. Next, they need to find more about that divine war, and most importantly, if the gods can interact directly with the world outside of this one. That would explain why their blood could affect reality itself. There's also one thing they haven't considered yet, said Omega. What exactly was the cause behind the war? Was it something that caused the corruption? Or perhaps the opposite? That is an interesting question. I mused. One that needs answering, though. Lastly, they shouldn't forget about the clues they found today. Those messages. If someone went through such lengths to leave them behind, surely they're important. So now that we've established what we want to focus on, we split into teams. Ah, I'll go check the surroundings for other clues or signs of danger, declared Echo with pride. No wonder, given his job class. As will I, nodded Pera. I'll help them, offered Rex, getting a nod from the other two. How about we return to the cave and search there for additional secrets? Suggested Tricera. Sounds like fun, Tilda. Cheered Steggy immediately. Not surprising, considering she loves caves. Finally, Omega raised his hand. How about I stay with Rebuild? Absolutely not. Pera interrupted, shaking her head firmly. You may be our leader, but we cannot risk losing you, especially after seeing what the Spinosaurus can do when not being held back by stupidity. Sorry, but I'll feel better having you both protected by the rest of us. It's the safest solution. Voh. I knew he would insist otherwise, but surprisingly enough he agreed, although still displeased. Fine. But next time I'm definitely joining you, he insisted. We'll see about that. Behra chuckled. With plans settled, each of their teams departed for their designated locations, leaving only Steggy, Bronto and Pera staying behind. Suddenly, Steggy spoke up. Hey! Is it okay? Sturdy! What's okay? Pera asked with a puzzled expression. She pointed towards Patera's robotic hands. That! Could I try it out sometime? Please? Oh, that. Pera hesitated briefly before smiling wryly. Of course. I'll let you play with it whenever you want. Yay! She cheered happily, causing the other two to giggle quietly. Despite their reaction, however, Pera noticed a trace of worry in Bronto's eyes. Once the excitement died down, Bronto cleared her throat. Actually, there is something bothering me. Tell me. Pera encouraged her. It's just... Do you really trust Omega? He seems weird to me sometimes. Ah! Her words caused the air to freeze almost instantly. While Pera wasn't surprised she thought the same way as Bronto, she always seemed somewhat suspicious of people in general. Pera wasn't sure about Steggy. From observing her previously, Patera believed she saw the robot almost as a big brother figure. I mean... It's not because you've replaced me and became the top of the hierarchy. Not wanting to force her to say any more, Patera smiled reassuringly instead. Don't mind me. We've all known each other for less than a week. It makes sense to be careful around the newcomers at least for a bit longer. But I assure you, there is no reason to distrust him. Ooh. There was a brief pause before she sighed softly. If you say so. Just please promise me to watch yourself around him. All this. I give you my word, Pera assured her with a warm smile. Enteleki, verse 1, chapter 42. Discovery of the Frost River. As Bronto turned back around, she could see Rebuilder had finished repairing her tail and was busy adding some upgrades so her next trip would be easier on her body. Well, let us try this again, Bronto said as she gave another powerful heave forward and started walking downstream again. This time the going was much smoother thanks to the extra effort put into widening the trail. They did have to stop once more to get past yet another fallen tree, however things were certainly looking up. Before long, they came upon something they hadn't expected at first glance. At first, everyone thought there was just a large iceberg stuck downstream, blocking everything else behind it. That was until it moved slightly to show off its small snout and yellow glowing eyes. "A river monster," Steggy exclaimed in shock, causing the thing to quickly spin around and turn away from the approaching herd. "Seems like whatever this thing is, it doesn't seem to want anything to do with us," Tricera stated, watching the strange creature slowly move away. If only for a few seconds, though, since, when they continued along, it stopped moving away anymore and instead stared directly at the herd as they approached closer still. "Perhaps we can use it to help clear our path. If it does actually attack, Pera suggested while getting ready for combat, although the monster didn't even look like it knew how to fight, considering how clumsy it appeared to be on both land and water. "I think you're right. Bronto, mind trying to lure it over here?" "There. Very well. Just watch my back," she replied confidently, knowing full well this little monster wouldn't pose any threat whatsoever to herself. With a loud bellow, she began charging straight towards the beast. Its eyes grew wide with fear, seeing the massive brown-colored tank approaching rapidly. Its attempt to escape completely failed, thanks to Bronto slamming into it sideways, sending it crashing through the underbrush, until finally being wedged underneath some trees, leaving only its head sticking out and shaking in terror. "All right!" "That should hold it," Bronto declared proudly, as the rest of the herd looked rather unimpressed. "But that wasn't hard at all." "You were the fastest among us. I'm sure we'd manage too," Tricera retorted playfully. With the river monster dealt with, the herd resumed traveling downstream. Although they kept an eye on the creature every step of the way, making certain nothing bad happened to it. As luck would have it, another couple hours passed without incident, until eventually they reached their goal at last. Although, admittedly, none of them realized they had arrived quite yet, seeing how different this stretch of river looked compared to the rest. It was extremely rocky and covered almost entirely in white frost, hence why it got called Frost River. "This isn't the Frost River," Pera observed disappointingly. "Not at all," Steggy added. It wasn't until a roar echoed through the air that caused them all to stiffen up in fear that they began to realize where they really were. "Wait. This is..." Bronto murmured softly, remembering a very similar location in her memory banks as she turned towards the others in disbelief. "The Frost River. How could we forget?" "Echo!" exclaimed happily. "Oh, right. That place exists in these lands." Tricera recalled aloud while the others nodded in agreement, having clearly forgotten themselves. "That is correct. We've done many expeditions into the Frost River area during our surveys prior to the accident. It's where we discovered the most ancient creatures thus far. And also where I found those amazing mushrooms and berries." Rex interjected excitedly. His parents simply chuckled at the mention of food, causing the young T-Rex to blush. They knew all too well his love for foraging and snacking whenever possible. Soon enough, the whole group was able to see the similarities between this place and the original Frost River. It seemed almost like a carbon copy, except for the lack of snow. "This is absolutely incredible," Tricera muttered to herself, taking in the sights of familiar landmarks in awe. She couldn't believe how perfect everything looked, despite them having been transported to an entirely different timeline. "I agree. This feels surreal somehow," Bronto confessed softly. It felt strange seeing these places again, albeit from the perspective of a living, breathing organism rather than a robotic construct. It brought forth mixed feelings of joy and dread, deep inside the gentle giant's core processor. Was it wrong to feel happy about returning to somewhere like this? She didn't know, nor did anyone else probably, but they didn't care either, because now meant now.